Hello, so today we'll be sewing Butterick B5908 View A. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and sew the pockets, which is pattern piece number 3. So with right sides together, make sure you match up your notches and your dots. And you're going to sew that pocket piece to the front piece of your pants using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now that the pocket is sewn together, go ahead and trim your pocket down to about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. After you trim, go ahead and understitch. You're going to understitch on the pocket, not on your pants. Understitch. Once you finish understitching, go ahead and turn your pocket to the inside along the folded edge and press. Now that is pressed, go ahead and top stitch. Now that you have top stitched, the next thing you're going to do is grab your pattern piece number 4, which is your side front, and stitch one side front section to each pocket at outer edge, keeping front free. So you're going to stitch your pattern piece number 4 to your pattern piece number 3, matching notches and dots. Now go ahead and stitch using a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance around your pocket. Now that the pocket piece is sewn together, go ahead and insert your raw edge, and you have a function pocket. The next thing you're going to do is go ahead and insert your front pattern pieces all the way down. That's the extension, the fly front extension, and the inside of your pants. Go ahead and serge those. Once you have those serged, with right sides together, put both front pattern pieces together, and you're going to stitch the front sections together at center front between the square and the notch. And if I were you, I would go ahead and make a stitching line and follow that line all the way down to the notch. Now that that is sewn together, what you're going to go ahead and do is you're going to baste from the top to the dot and then switch to a normal stitch and go from the dot to the notch. Now that you have that sewn, go ahead and open your fly out and press it open. And go ahead and clip right under the fly and then open it and press it. Now that that's pressed, go ahead and add your zipper. Add your zipper exactly like you see me doing. So what you want to do is add the zipper to the right side of your fly. So go ahead and pin, just like you see me doing right here. And when you pin, you're going to pin to that right extension, not all the way through, just on the little fly extension. And using a basting stitch, you're going to stitch that. You're not going to be able to see it, so don't worry if it's not straight, but you're going to stitch that down. Now that is stitched together, you're going to turn it all with to the left of you. Go ahead and get your fly. Go ahead and stitch the fly together with wrong sides together. Go ahead and baste that. And what you see me doing now is I turned it and sewed it to where it's attached to the zipper. Now go ahead and open that out. And do not pull on your zipper to the other side, but you're going to stitch it to the other fly. So it could be a function. Now what you want to do is go ahead and move the left fly out of the way, like you see me doing here. Just adding a few pins to keep it out of my way. And you're going to go ahead and stitch the other side of the zipper tape. Moving everything to the left of you. Go ahead and pin and sew that part together. Now that you have that zipper sewn in, go ahead and open it out and grab your seam ripper, and we're going to go ahead and open up the zipper teeth. But before you do that, we want to go ahead and sew that fly. You see where the line is? You want to go ahead and sew that line. So make sure you transferred your dots to the front of your pants. Now what you see me doing here is opening up the zipper. So use your seam ripper and open up the zipper part, like you see me doing here. Now go ahead and stitch your darts. And make sure when you stitch your darts, do not back stitch at the end of your darts. Now that the dart is sewn, go ahead and press your darts towards the center. Now that you have that pressed, go ahead and put the back on top of the front pattern piece like you see me doing here. And what you're going to do is stitch the back and front together at the inner legs, but make sure you pin. Use as many pins as you possibly can to keep everything together and in place. Now that the inner legs are sewn together, the next thing you're going to do is put both back center pieces together like you see me doing. And you're going to match the center. Match those seams up. And you're going to stitch the remainder of the crotch seams together, matching notches on front and notches on back as well. And stitch around the curve using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now that the curve is sewn, go ahead and turn your pants right sides out. And what you want to do is go ahead and put the front to back, and at the side seams, go ahead and pin. And you're going to sew using a basting stitch. And the reason for that is simply because you want to try them on and see if they fit very well. If it's too tight, you're going to let about 1/4 of an inch out until you get a good fit. Once it fits well, you're going to turn it inside out. And once you turn it inside out, go ahead and put your permanent stitch in using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. The next thing you're going to do is go ahead and grab your right and left waistband. This is the interface piece that you see me pinning together right now. And go ahead and sew that together using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance on both the interface and uninterfaced waistband. Now what you're going to do is go ahead and open up the seams, press them open. On both the interface and uninterface left and right waistband. Now what you want to do is go ahead and turn over your pants. And once you have them turned over, you're going to pin matching notches and dots of the waistband, the uninterfaced waistband. You're going to pin with the frown up. So you have a happy face and a frown. You're going to pin with the frown up. So you go ahead and do that. Now that you have the waistband pinned, go ahead and sew using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And after you sew the uninterfaced waistband, go ahead and press the seams up towards the waistband. Now go ahead and check and make sure your zippers zipper them properly and everything looks great and clean on the inside. Go ahead and cut off any excess zipper you may have, like you see me doing right here. I like using a longer zipper so it's out of my way, but you do not have to do that. It's just my preference. So go ahead and cut off any excess zipper you may have. And go ahead and press the seams up towards the waistband. Now the next thing you're going to do is get your uninterfaced waistband. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and measure out the 2.5 inches like it says in your instructions. And this would be piece number 10 and piece number 9. So on the left side with the interface portion, which is the wrong side facing you, measure out 2.5 inches. And make a line like you see me doing here. And it will just help when you put your binding tape on, your seam binding. And then on the other end, with the uninterfaced portion, which is the wrong side facing you, measure out, 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. And go ahead and make your mark there. Now, one thing that I noticed is when I measured out the 2.5 inches, it seems like it was a little too much, and you'll see that here in the video shortly. So therefore, I would make sure to measure out about 2 inches instead of 2.5 inches. But if you want to do just like the instructions insist on you measuring out 2.5 inches, you can do so. It's up to you. The next thing you're going to do is go ahead and place the seam binding. Now, the instruction does call for double fold single bias tape, but I am using single fold bias tape instead. And stitch that to your interfaced waistband. After you stitch it, go ahead and pin it to your uninterfaced waistband with the happy face up. So when you stitch your uninterfaced waistband, you stitched it with the frown up, like you're frowning, but this time you're going to make sure that you stitch it with the happy face up, like you're smiling. And make sure you match all your notches and dots all the way around. So go ahead and pin that all the way around. Now you're going to go ahead and sew using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, beginning and ending at the dot. Now the next thing you want to do is go ahead and clip your corners. Make sure when you clip your corners you do not clip through the stitching. Just remove as much excess as you have, but you don't want to clip too much. And now what you're going to do is go ahead and press the seams up towards the waistband. So now what you're going to do is understitch as far as you can. You will be understitching on the facing side. So what you see me here, I already did it for you. So that's what it looks like finished. So now what you're going to do is go ahead and turn it to the right side, poking out your corners so you can have a clean finish. So go ahead and turn your facing in and give your waistband one good press all the way around. Now what you want to do is go ahead and press the waistband, press the facing to the inside. Once you are done pressing the facing to the inside, go ahead and pin on the right side, and you are going to do what is called stitch in the ditch. You could do it by machine, or you could slip stitch using a hand needle. It's totally up to you how you want to finish off your waistband. Now that I have slip stitch, which what I did was stitch in the ditch all the way around. Now what you have left to do is your hem, your buttonholes, and attach your hook and eye. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and finish off my hem. So according to the instructions, it tells you to fold up 1.5 inches for your hem. So what you want to do is turn your pants inside out and measure out 1.5 inches, and you're going to baste. Now that you basted that in place, go ahead and turn your pants right side out and press up another 1.5 inches, or to cover up what you just stitched. And you're also going to stitch using a regular stitch this time, the top and the bottom to form your cuff. And that's all. Thank you so much for watching.